think we've never fought a mighty adversary before? The soldier's stern facade cannot fully conceal his relish. He clearly plans to enjoy this confrontation. The crusaders around him look upon their exotic opponent with a mixture of irritation and piqued interest. The woman chuckles before cutting off her interlocutor. I would love to see you storm a 60-foot-tall walking castle shaped like a gigantic elephant that carries siege fortifications on its back. And I'll have you know those fortifications were defended by a Giscan priest craftsman armed with demon-bound war machine. These priest craftsmen armed with demon-bound war machines. What the heck? That sounds like a very interesting story. If it's true, I would love to see it. They use the enemies you cannot defeat as mindless weapons. The woman gives the people around her a triumphant look and adjusts her clothes with pointed nonchalance. Her voice takes on a lecturer's note. You should not argue with someone who happens to be the most authoritative researcher on the history of warfare 3,000 years before the foundation of Absalom. For more than 4,000 years, Absalom has been the city, the center of the world, a metropolis-sized showcase of the greatest treasures on all Golarion. The city not only holds a key strategic position for both commercial and military endeavors in the region, but encompasses the site of the ascension of 4 deities and claims to have been founded by none other than the last Aslanti, the god Erodin. The woman looks at you and flashes an amused smile. The lecture is over. Do my esteemed listeners have any questions? Who are you? I am an Indarah, a warrior, magus, and scholar of classical warfare from Garund. Woman peers at you apprehensively, then sighs. I admit that I am mildly offended by the fact that my name is entirely unfamiliar to you, but I am willing to accept that this is due to Avistan's isolation from the sophisticated culture of the world at large. Avistan, that's a continent on the world of Golarion. Okay, so where we are currently. One of the most densely populated areas on the planet, Avistan possesses as many varied cultures and environments as any other continent in the world, in an ancient history stretching back tens of thousands of years. Brevoy, the river kingdoms, Nomeria, and the stolen lands are all situated on Avistan. You've come a long way to be here. I like to think of myself as an inhabitant of Golarion, and I don't narrowly identify with any country in particular. Well, why did you come here? To witness a legendary war, confrontation between denizens of a plane famous for its love of violence, and the crusaders from every continent united by the common goal of defending their home. An epic struggle of colossal proportions that hasn't been particularly epic so far, truth be told. The monk with the black eye grins and mutters under his breath, "Maybe she can't just see it from here. The view will get way more epic if she stops hiding among us and takes a walk outside." The woman smirks contemptuously. She does not deem the monk's words worthy of comment. It looks like you know more about warfare than any of us. Oh! Am I hearing things, or did someone finally acknowledge my competence in the art of warfare? Perhaps there is a sufficiently open-minded person among the Crusaders after all. I find myself pleasantly surprised. Why don't you join the Crusaders and show them how fighting should be done? No. I'm a historian and analyst, not a theorist. Do you know what these 3 words have in common? They describe a mortal woman who does not participate in the conflict upon which her thesis will be founded. But then again, I will hardly be able to describe this mess as anything other than a feeble likeness of the last war of Gistka. A monk with damaged eye grins slyly and comments, The more dangerous the upcoming scuffle is, the more motivated we are to find clever and pretty words to justify not actually doing the fighting. That's true. What is this last war that you mentioned? The last war of Gistka. Of course. A large-scale conflict that took place 3,000 years before the foundation of Absalom. It was a war against the Osirian pharaoh of Forgotten Plagues, the war that ended the legendary Gistka Empire in Imperium. An epic struggle that became the most vibrant page in military history. Alas, all conflicts that followed it were but a pale shadow, including the one I'm witnessing here. Sure. Conflicts between humans, or some ordinary mortal creatures, and demons devouring the world and spawning from a hellhole. It's not more interesting? The heck are you talking about, girl? You're obviously glorifying what you find interesting, but that doesn't mean that it actually is. Sirion. Oh dear. Osirion. One of the first civilizations to rise in the wake of Earthfall, Osirion is also one of the greatest empires in the history of Golarion, a nation of great knowledge, wealth, and power. This ancient land harbors pyramids, mummies, terrible curses, and endless sand, as well as a culture steeped in proud traditions, devout respect for the gods, dedicated to communal service, and unswerving devotion to its rulers. Osirion today is just emerging from millennia of Kalashite rule and regaining the legacy of the pharaohs supplanted by these foreign oppressors. Why do you find the last war of Gistka so inspiring? Imagine legions of golems imbued with extraplanar spirits marching into battle. Imagine flying cities that swoop out of the clouds like terrifying monstrous birds of prey to drop forces on top of enemy castles. Picture gigantic mechanisms powered by captive and very angry demons and devils. Imagine standing in the warpath of walking citadels or having to cover your ears to block out the sound of cannons loading with shrieking elementals. Finally, imagine the ultimate weapon that defeated the Gistka, the deadly night plague. This affliction was an attack dog, a trained epidemic, a tamed pestilence, tracking only those who its masters wanted to kill. Imagine all these terrors and understand that no flight of fancy can even come close to the horror of the nightmares that they made real. How do you know so much about Gistka's last war? I can say without false modesty that there is no more authoritative researcher on Golarion when it comes to the history of warfare 3,000 years before the foundation of Absalom. That was a bit redundant. I've dedicated my whole life to this subject. I personally visited old battlefields and studied the most mysterious and forbidden archives containing chronicles of ancient wars, sometimes risking my life in the process. Once there was an apple, and he was a day, maybe too old. He was already rotting away, and I took a bite. I needed sustenance to read the book. I took a bite I took a risk for scholarship. Very, very, very dangerous. My tummy ached once. It's very terrible. I can't fight with you. No. I'm a scholar. I saw a fallen sky city of the Shori Empire with my own eyes. I ripped out the control crystal from an exterminator-class combat golem that guarded the Gistka laboratory with my own eyes. These fingers held the glass flask the servants of Pharaoh of Forgotten Plagues used to create the first generation of pestilence that devastated the Gistka Empire. How do I know so much? I saw and touched everything I am telling you about. You're wrong to treat the Crusaders with such disdain. Allow me to explain. A debate. Oh, I will be happy to prove that the current conflict can't hold a candle to the last war of Gistka. Very well. The last war of Gistka was waged using a significantly greater number of troops. Both sides actively relied on reinforcements from allied planes, and their strategic planning was perfected through no fewer than 7 rounds of intensive design. None of the above applies to this war of yours. Compared to the Gistka, we are but stone club-wielding kobolds. I would like to conclude my thesis with a few words of wise counsel from Dagoon, an advisor to the Pharaoh of Forgotten Plagues. I doubt you will comprehend the true genius of his statement, but here it is nevertheless. A gadfly sees the ox. The ox pays no heed to the gadfly, but crimson fever takes them both. Diplomacy and the events of the past are shrouded in legend, but the fate of the world is being decided here and now. That is what you fail to grasp. No, what she fails to grasp is that there's a demonic invasion about to destroy all of creation. I mean, that's a big conflict, right? Okay. I mean, okay, apparently this Gistka Empire was able to use demons as cannon fodder. The earnestness on the faces of those around you has taken away Indarah's banish, encouraging her to backtrack and stumble over words. Of course. I'm not trying to diminish the importance of current events. What I'm trying to say is that from the standpoint of history, particularly the history of warfare, she falls silent, fixedly staring at the unfriendly eyes of her audience. The true importance of these developments won't become obvious until later. Indarah offers a pretentious dismissal. As a scholar, I cannot deny that there is a certain truth behind your skeptical statements. History is a complex discipline rooted in fact and an evidentiary base that grows ever more meager the farther the described period is from the present moment. Of course, if I were to argue in bad faith, the way Crusaders embellish their tales of slaying a single Brimorak by adding a dozen Balos, for example, I could win this debate. But I am above such things, and therefore I am forced to admit that your skepticism is not entirely without merit. Have you changed your mind about joining the Crusaders? I don't see the point. You Crusaders appear to be quite confident in your skills. If nothing else, you've presented your arguments to me with extreme confidence. Indarah unbuckles her sword belt and hands you the weapon. This is a worthy blade. It will be of use not only for the strong, but also for the wise. Received Claw of Gistka. What? Thank you. And this is where I bid you farewell. Farewell. Before the end of the day, I was planning to observe how winged demons use pack tactics to drive their prey like herds of livestock. It's about time I got back to my research. The hint of a smile graces Indarah's lips when she sees disappointment in the eyes of many Crusaders around her. Stay safe. So, we have a new weapon. What is it? Claw of Gistka. Short sword. 3 to 13. Enhancement. Fire damage. Well, hello there. Flaming sword. Oh, yes, please. I definitely like that. Heavy shield. 2 minus 2, 15. 2 minus 2, 15. The other one's looking better. And I still have no idea how to identify items. No, I don't want to equip something that's not very good. Okay. Charges, difficulty class. How do I... Short spear. 2 to 7. Enhancement. 23 to 28. What if I give her a short spear? And of course she needs a shield and she needs equipment. Banded mail, yeah, that was her gear.
Doesn't suit me.
Still, of course. Wait. Are all the items now identified? Do we need to rest? Or do we need to come back here? How did the items get identified? I did nothing. That's odd. I have no idea why this happened. I do know, however, that the kitty cat needs to come to our wizard, since he gets a bonus for having a kitty cat. Kitty cat there. Hello, kitty cat. Experience, yes. Wizard. Next. Why is this not... I would love for the game to automatically do this. Perception, wisdom ability, athletics, magic devices. Okay, no, okay. And let's do stealth, why not? Whatever. Snowball, ooh. Wait. Choose spells. Oh, we can choose two more spells? Well, let's do... color spray, what's that? No. Cause fear. Ray of sickening. Shield and... barrier. Why not? Done. Ah, level 3. More points. Okay. Let's just one and all. Why not? Spell focus, history of terrors, fast learner. Okay, that's not good. Cleaving, ferocity, field focus. Game wants me to learn stuff. Spell focus. Okay. Let's do... Wait, what is alertness? Bonus and perception skill checks. But we don't need that. Efficiency, light armor. Why not? Spells. Ah! Now we're getting somewhere. I would love to have Summon Monster 2. And I would love to have... What is Pit? Hole, no. Cat's Grace, no. Undead fight at your side. Ah, interesting. But no. I would love to see Molten Orb. Thank you. Done. Give two one-handed weapons to the character Morgwen, who doesn't have the two-weapon fighting feat. Oh. Without it, they will suffer from massive penalties to attack rolls. Making an attack with a one-handed or light weapon, you can make an additional attack with a weapon in the other hand. Well, that's not good. So we need the two-weapon fighting feat. So we're going for the two-weapon fighting feat soon.
March ahead.
We need to get back to the market square, and we need to convince Hulrun to leave Ramian in peace.
Save the last one for me.
Encumbrance. Wait, what? Increases fatigue. Why is that? Oh, because she's a... Why can't she carry anything anymore? What the heck?
The light take you!
You're irrelevant.
The inheritor, guide my blade!
Huh? Oh, yes, what?
What's wrong with her? 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 40? The heck's going on? Why is she completely useless now? I mean, there's something going wrong. I'm going to return to base. And after that I'm going to restart the game. Hopefully that will fix this. I mean, it's ridiculous. Where the heck is... Where the heck does she only have 40... I mean, carrying 40 pounds, that's ridiculous. That's 20 kilogram. I mean, every child can do that. I mean, most. At a certain age. Okay. Until next time.